what is going on with the Yankees. They have struggled as of late, especially in extra innings. Our Yankees beat writer for the Post, Greg Joyce, is on now to talk what is going on with the pinstripes. Basically, I try to think of something cool, Greg, but it's just I guess the ebbs and flows of a long baseball season is something that just happens. So I'm gonna put you on the spot right here when it comes to this team. What concerns you the most when talking about the Yankees? The fact that they've lost 9 out of their last 12, or that they're now 1-6 in extra inning games?
Yeah, I think losing the 9 and 12 has been a rough go, especially just the way that it's happened with their offense kind of falling off. The for the most part, the pitching has been good during this stretch. It's just the offense has pretty much collectively all gone quiet at the same time. It looked like over the weekend against the Orioles, winning 2 or 3 in that series, that maybe they were kind of finding their footing a little bit. But in these first 2 games against the Reds, it's been tough to come by offense again. They're really just kind of lacking that big hit, and that's what ended up hurting them in extra innings last night. They had the bases loaded in the 10th inning, and Aaron Judge at the plate, and that's if you had to draw it up, that's exactly who you'd want up there. And he just popped up, wasn't able to get their guys in. They do score a run in the 11th, which was their first time scoring in extra innings on the road this year, but only got the one in, and obviously wasn't enough. It's the last couple of Junes have been similar to this, where they get up to this great start in the first couple of months, and then June kind of hit that rough patch where the offense goes quiet. So it's been a tough go. Obviously not playing their best or anywhere close to it. They had a number of guys that got off to really hot starts that were due for some regression at some point. Even if they're going to have solid seasons, they were going to cool off. But it kind of seems like some guys have done that collectively, and then just not being able to deliver in big spots. It was 0 for 12 with runners in scoring position Monday night, and I think it was 1 for 8, 1 for 9 last night. So it's been tough. The extra innings one is a tough one. They're 0 for 5 on the road in extra innings. There's the debate of whether you bunt a guy over to third, the automatic runner over to third, and then try to, have some situational hitting to get the guy in. Do you play for one run or do you play for more, given that, you're not hitting last? You can debate that one, but they're 2 for 32 hitting in extra innings this year, which is kind of hard to fathom. So obviously, it's a tight pressure pack situation. They just haven't been able to come up with it. But in this stretch overall, they've been hard pressed to come up with the big hit too. So I think it kind of blends together a little bit.
2 for 32, and they've only scored 2 total runs in those games in extra innings. So, yeah, I thought you were going to say the extra innings was going to be the thing that kind of concerns you most, especially when we know this team's going to go to the playoffs and go on a run. But I'm glad you kind of broke that down for us. And I need you to break it down even more what's going on with this team, because you're around this team, you're in Cleveland now. What are some of the biggest question marks surrounding the Yankees, 79 games into the season?
Yeah, I think if you kind of break it down, it's like they had the first 60 plus games where they were one of the best offenses in the league, and now they have this last 20 or so games where they've cooled off. It's really, I think it might even be more than less than that, 10, 15 games where they kind of pivoted and it's cooled off in a big way. So do you trust the bigger sample size of the first couple of months, or is this last 2 weeks kind of a sign of things to come this summer? That's what you kind of got to figure out. Generally you trust the bigger sample size, but we've seen it before where guys get up to hot starts and then just kind of hit that wall and aren't able to kind of get back on it. So I think the offense kind of needs to collectively find their footing a little bit here. I think over the course of a long season, maybe this turns out to be just a couple week blip, but it obviously hasn't looked good. The other thing too is just they're nearing the end of a 16-day, 16 game stretch, so they've had to lean on their bullpen a lot in that. We saw it again last night where it was obviously a hot, humid game. Carlos Rodon only goes 6 innings, 88 pitches. He said he was gassed after that, so didn't argue. Seemed to agree with the call that come out of the game. But then they had to use a lot of relievers, and then by the 11th inning, they're having to throw Mark Leiter Jr. for a second inning after he threw 27 pitches on Monday night. So they're having to kind of overextend some guys a little bit here. And Aaron Boone said last night he's been trying to take care of certain relievers over the stretch, but that's hard to do when you're playing these games every night and a lot of close games and having to lean on a lot of guys. So I think that off day on Thursday will be a welcome one for them to kind of catch their breath and try to get back on track.
All right, I have to backtrack a little bit. I said you were in Cleveland. You're actually out in Cincinnati. My bad on that one. And you mentioned the bullpen. Let's talk about the rotation as well. Marcus Stroman made his third and possibly his last rehab start Tuesday night in Double-A Somerset. Spot opened up in the rotation when Ryan Yarbrough was placed on the injured list with a low-grade oblique strain. They called up Alan Winans on Monday to make a spot start. He struggled, as you know. Stroman got lit up in his last rehab start. So who does Boone turn to for that rotation spot, Winans or Stroman?
Yeah, it'll be an interesting call. I think it's telling that they kept Winans on the roster at least as of yesterday. They didn't send him right back down. So they obviously wanted to see how Stroman got through Tuesday night. He built up to 65 pitches, which is, generally during rehab assignments, that's the most important thing is just building up that pitch count and getting out of it healthy. Results aren't off, results don't often mean a ton, especially for veteran guys. But obviously, when you see a line like that, it's kind of, raise your eyes a little bit, at Double-A, see what's going on. So they'll have to make an interesting call here to see whether they pull Stroman now and have him making a start in the majors or whether they give Winans another turn. Uh, Winans was great through 3 innings on Monday night. Breezed through the Reds lineup on 24 pitches before they kind of got a beat on him the second time through. So, I think they got to figure out whether they just have to change their game plan with Winans the second time through, or whether he's a guy that is better suited to just, face the lineup one time through in shorter spurts. Um, but they'll have to make a decision here this weekend. It wouldn't be totally surprising to see them give Stroman another start just to build his pitch count up further to 70, 75, so that he can give you somewhere around 80 by the time he comes back. Um, so it doesn't, kind of hurt the bullpen if he goes short. Um, so maybe they give Winans another turn. He had been pitching great at AAA, so could be worth seeing what he can give them a second time through. So we'll see. They also have JT Brubaker in the bullpen, who had been built up when he was on his rehab assignment, but at this point he pitched 2 innings on Saturday, and then he was warming up in the 11th inning last night, so he's kind of now kind of thrown off that 5 day routine a little bit. So yeah, we'll see.
All right, lastly, there's a huge buzz on social media about the fan base running out of patience with Anthony Volpe. So, what's Boone going to do with him, and are there any options, I guess, out there to replace him?
Yeah, I think he's going to keep running him out there. I think I think Aaron Boone is one of Volpe's biggest supporters. He said yesterday there's a lot of noise around it, but he thinks he's having a pretty productive offensive season. Which when you look at it, his OPS is, well, we're almost at the halfway mark of the season, and Volpe's OPS is, a few ticks above league average. He had gotten off to before this last 15 day, 2 week stretch, whatever it is. He had put together a 5, 6 week stretch where he was pretty consistent at the plate. He's a guy who his first 2 years in the big leagues, he was either pretty hot or incredibly cold and often little in between. So I understand why he can be a kind of a maddening player to watch for the fan base. But it looked like he was kind of, minimizing that such streakiness until this last stretch here, where obviously it's been almost 10 games, 2 weeks where he's really cooled off in a big way. So, but I think they're going to keep running him out there. I think they don't really have a ton of options behind him unless you want to play Oswald Peraza at shortstop, who's obviously a great defender, but hasn't really showed much at all with the bat whenever he's gotten any real opportunities in the big leagues. So I think the Yankees are banking on Volpe kind of snapping out of this and being a steady contributor. I think he has 20 doubles. He's 40 plus RBIs. So when those are both going to be career highs for him by the end of the year. When you stack him up against other shortstops, he's kind of the middle of the pack in terms of offensive production. And generally, he's been a strong defender. He's had a few more hiccups this year than regular, and his base running has kind of fallen off. He hasn't been as much of a stolen base threat. So, it's tough to kind of know what to make of Volpe's season to this point because there has been some good moments, but obviously this last 2 weeks has kind of cast a cloud over that. But I think they're going to keep running him out there. He's going to be their guy. I think it would take a lot. I think it's going to take more, a deeper slump than this to kind of get him out of there.
All right, Greg Joyce, enjoy the Natty, not Cleveland, Cincinnati. Appreciate you hopping on.
Yeah, thanks, Brennan.